What is up? What is up? What is going on, guys? It's the Bowtie Fragrance Guy, the Fashion and Fragrance channel. If you're into fashion and fragrance, I hope you won't mind subscribing to this channel. Hopefully you'll love the content over here, and make sure you hit that bell icon as well. That way, anytime a new video is uploaded on the channel, you'll be one of the first people to get notified. So on today's video, guys, I'm going to be talking about a note that I've really come to love and appreciate over the past year or so, and that is the note of plum. Plum is a fruit note, or it will be classified as a fruit note, and I love it because it really brings a sensuality to a fragrance. Now this week I'm kind of be going on somewhat of a theme of kind of more sexy, more date night oriented kind of content for the week, because of course it's Valentine's Day this week. So I want to kind of stick to that theme. And like I said, plum is a very, very sensual fruit note. Now plum can be found in both men and women's fragrances alike. More so you find them in women's fragrances, but obviously me being a man, I have 11 fragrances here. One is an honorable mention that I want to talk to you guys about that really highlights the note of plum that are marketed towards men. Now plum is will be very expensive to extract naturally. So just like a lot of other notes, obviously it's going to be done synthetically. All right, and there is a molecule called damascone that you find in most notes of rose that is utilized to make plum as well. Now plum can be more fruity, and it can actually be a little bit more floral, and that just depends on the way that it is synthesized for said fragrance. You will find that sometimes they use plum, plum fruit or plum blossom, and continued upon which one they utilize, which raw material they use, it'll come off more fruity or a little bit more floral in a fragrance. And like I said, plum is very velvety, kind of sensual. You'll find it in, of course, fruity accords, floral accords, and also it wriggles really, really well with boozy accords, amber, and gourmand notes. So again, I have all of the above represented on the list, so I'm excited to get into talking more about this very sensual note. So if you want to see what 10 fragrances, well actually 11, that I want to discuss with you guys, then you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it.
The Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we're back. Let's go ahead and jump right into this list. The first one I want to talk to you guys about is an honorable mention. This is the more or the most feminine leaning fragrance on the list, but don't get it twisted. Guys, we can rock this thing. Trust me, I rock it. It's from the house of by Kilian. This is called Liaisons Dangereuses. Liaisons Dangereuses from the house of by Kilian. So what you're going to find mainly that accompanies a plum in this fragrance is going to be peach. You have coconut and black currant. All right, so very, very fruity. And just like I said, the plum in this particular fragrance, along with that peach, it comes off more fruity in this one, but it provides a lot of sensuality to this scent. Again, like I said, of all the fragrances that I'm going to talk about today, this fragrance would lean the most feminine. But like I said, guys, we can rock this. This is one of those fragrances to me that nobody really talks about, especially guys, because I think Kilian markets this when it came out to more towards women. But trust me, very unisex, and fellas, we can rock the heck out of this thing. All right, so check it out. It's from the house of by Kilian. Again, this one is called Liaisons Dangereuses, or Dangerous Liaisons. Next one. All right, guys, this next fragrance that I want to talk about is the only designer fragrance on this list. Listen, designer fragrances don't use the note of plum a lot, all right? But this one, very popular, utilize the note of plum, and this one is 1 Million Lucky. 1 Million Lucky, and right here you're going to find plum that is used with hazelnut and honey. So again, very sexy fragrance. The intent of the fragrance was to be sexy. And like I said, plum really does provide a sensuality to fragrances. And you combine that with that honey and that hazelnut, just super, super, super sexy fragrance right here. And if you're talking about close encounter, date night type situations, and you're talking about designer fragrances, this is one that I highly recommend to a lot of people if they're looking for something that kind of fits into that category. So again, sensuality, nice, juicy, sensual plum note in this with that hazelnut and that really, creamy kind of syrupy honey, if you will, in this one. Amazing. From the house of Paco Rabanne, this is 1 Million Lucky. All right, now this next fragrance, man, oh my gosh. Seriously, this fragrance is too good. It's too good. Not a lot of people have this fragrance, so I don't talk about it as much, but man, definitely one of my top 25 in the entire collection. This is from the house of Kilian again, and this one is called Single Malt. All right, now Single Malt, man, this fragrance right here, man, listen, you're gonna get plum in the opening of this fragrance. Very juicy, very, very sexy in this scent, but you're also going to get a note of wheat. Now, there is a slight booziness to this fragrance, obviously the wheat provides, but it's also slightly gourmand and nutty, if that makes sense. And you're also going to get some vanilla and Toulouse balsam. Now, the Toulouse balsam provides a very ambery feel to the scent, and like I said, it works really good, the note of plum, with ambery accords, gourmand accords. So, home run from the house of Kilian. Again, this one is called Single Malt. All right, guys, this next fragrance from the house of BDK Parfums. This is just pure sexiness in a bottle. And this one is called Tabac Rose. Tabac Rose, again, very, very sensual fragrance here, man. You're gonna get with the plum, you're gonna get some chocolate. So it gives that kind of chocolatey cacao thing. You also have tobacco, obviously, and rose. Again, very, very sensual fragrance. The plum in this comes off very, very, this is fruity and juicy. Again, contributing to that whole sensual vibe of this fragrance. And I think mission accomplished with this one. If they were trying to make a very sexy fragrance, they absolutely knocked it out the park, in my humble opinion. This stuff right here is fantastic. One of the best from the brand of BDK Parfums, which is a house that I'm exploring a little bit more in depth right now. But anyway, very sensual and sexy from the house of BDK Parfums. This is called Tabac Rose. All right, guys, now the next fragrance up on the list comes from the house of Electimus, and this one is called Persephone's Patchouli. Persephone's Patchouli. This is a very obviously heavily infused patchouli fragrance. All right, they got about 3 different kind of varieties of patchouli in here, and you get them all. It's kind of a little bit green, a little bit earthy at different times. But I love the plum in this fragrance. Plum is used in the opening of this scent, and it really serves to kind of offset that patchouli. You have plum and pomegranate in the opening, so very luscious, very juicy plum pomegranate combination in the opening of this fragrance. You have to add something like that to a scent like this, otherwise it would be too earthy, too green when you use so much patchouli in a fragrance. But man, perfect. I love it. Again, very juicy, very succulent in this fragrance. So check it out. This is from the house of Electimus. This is called Persephone's Patchouli. All right, guys, most of the time when people think of the note of plum, this is one of the fragrances that comes to mind, especially for guys. This is from the house of Tom Ford, and this is Plum Japonais. Plum Japonais, man. And if you've heard hype about this fragrance, you can believe it, in my humble opinion, because this is a dynamite plum fragrance. You have the booze in here. Obviously, you have plum, but it is accompanied by this almost honey-like immortelle note in here. Just really, in my humble opinion, the perfect pairing of notes in this scent. So again, if you like them boozy, again, that honey-like immortelle just really adds with the plum a sensuality to this fragrance that is really unmatched in this genre. So check it out. Of course, this is one of the masters of this particular note, very well known from the house of Tom Ford. This is Plum Japonais. All right, guys, this next fragrance up on the list, my God, this stuff smells amazing. It's from the house of Atelier des Ors, and this one is called Rouge Sarai. This is Rouge Sarai. I always have to say this when I talk about these fragrances from this brand. Just look at those flakes, man. This is a gorgeous bottles, gorgeous presentation, gorgeous fragrance. Plum, cinnamon, dates. All right, you have plum in here, you have cinnamon, you have dates in here as well. And this stuff is just amazing, man. When you talk about a very, a more sweet, fruity variety of plum, it is in here, man. You have plum in here, but you also have a note of heliotrope in the background. That heliotrope comes off kind of more of this almondy kind of feel in this fragrance. So you have that with the dates and the plum. You talk about something that is mouth-watering good. This is one of those fragrances, guys, you just got to put your nose on this fragrance, man. Again, very, very sensual fragrance. Again, sweet. That sweet variety of plum. Very sweet with the dates. And again, that heliotrope in the background. I love this stuff. It's from the house of Acqu Di Gio. And again, this one is called Rouge Sarai. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on the list is probably the second most notable fragrance for guys that contains a note of plum because plum is in the name. It's from the house of Sensual Woods, and this is called Plums in Cognac. Plums and Cognac, and the name totally gives it away on this fragrance, man. This is a very boozy plum fragrance with a little bit of spice in the background from cinnamon. It's the perfect pairing. Cinnamon is a note that you will find. I didn't talk about it in some of the others, but it's in some of the others as well. I think cinnamon is a spice that pairs really well with plum, and you get a lot of that in this fragrance. Again, plum, cinnamon, and the booze from the rum. Oh man, it's sweetened up a little bit with some vanilla in here as well. But this stuff, my God, if I were ranking these, which I really didn't, I would say, of course, plumjaponais, this, and single malt will probably be at the top of my list. This is just one of those things you gotta smell. You gotta put your nose on this one, guys. It's from the house of Sensual Woods, and this one is called Plum in Cognac. All right, guys, the next fragrance up on the list, I love the way that plum is used in this fragrance. It's from the house of Rouge, one of my favorites. This is called Diamant. This is Diamant. I've talked a lot about this fragrance before on the channel. Plum is paired here with peony flowers, a little bit of smokiness from vetiver, and incense as it starts to dry down. And I talked to you guys earlier that the note of plum can sometimes be the way that it is synthesized can be more plum fruit or more plum blossom. I think this is a little bit more plum blossom. I think it's perfect because again, you're really pairing it in the opening of this fragrance with those peony flowers. It gives this kind of slightly, I would say, sweet, sugary, almost juicy feel to the fragrance when it compared with that peony flowers. It's beautiful, man. If you're not having put your nose on this one as well, you gotta put your nose on it. It's from the house of Rouge, and this is called, of course, Diamant. All right, guys, next up on the list, one of my favorite fragrances of all time from the house of Bond, number 9. This is, of course, New York Oud. New York Oud, and I know a lot of you guys have been kind of clamoring to get your hands on this, and for some reason they discontinued it. But this fragrance, Plum, Rose, Oud. Plum, Rose, Oud, Saffron. All right, so very juicy plum in this. Very juicy. I think this is one of those fragrances where it really helps to balance out, that rose oud combination that you're used to smelling and give this fragrance a very unique feel. You don't really find plum paired with rose and oud as much, but man, this is absolutely a home run. You get a very juicy, sensual plum note in the opening of New York Oud. And I think all this time, man, that's one of the things that I really love most about this fragrance. But anyway, I know it's discontinued, man, but if you can ever get your hands on a bottle of New York Oud, you'll see what I'm talking about. So again, from the house of Bond, number 9, one of my favorites of all time, this is New York Oud. All right, guys, and last but not least on this list, from the house of Frank Baclet, this is called simply Tobacco. Tobacco, probably the most slept on fragrance in this entire list, man. This stuff is so good. As a matter of fact, most of the fragrances I put my nose on from this brand are really, really well done. And here, really simply, you're gonna get, what you see in the name of the fragrance. You get tobacco, you get plum, and it's sweetened up with some tonka bean, which is another one of my favorite notes. But this is very, very well done fragrance. And this one isn't gonna break the bank, man. You can find it for about $100, between 80 to $100. And in my humble opinion, It is very, very worth it. If you like tobacco, if you like plum, you're gonna love this fragrance. Again, it's from the house of Frank Bachlet, and it's called Tobacco. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time, man. I hope you enjoyed the list today, as I gave you actually 11 fragrances in my collection that contain the note of plum. As always, I sincerely appreciate your time and your attention to these videos. I know you guys don't have to watch, but you do. And man, I sincerely appreciate that. Then don't forget to make sure you take a few moments to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you are sharing these videos out to some other folks out there that you think could use this information or find it entertaining. Because I'm the guy, Darren. I'm the bow tie fragrance guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side.